Hi, welcome. My name is Robert Allen, and I'm here with some friends tonight to celebrate the release of my new chapbook, Big Blue Hospital from Bottle Cap Press. I'm really proud of it. I'm pleased it's out. I'm 58, and it's the first thing I put out, and I'm very, very pleased to share it with you tonight. Um, the book covers the intersections between grief and loss, also intersections of pain and illness. So the book has some heavy thoughts in it, but I think we can all relate to those thoughts. We've all had pain. We've all had difficulties. We've had illness, or we've had people we know have had illness that they work through. I think the end is the hope that we move through it all, and I hope my book expresses that as well. I'd like to start by reading a little bit before I move on to the next readers. And once again, I'm going to hold it up. I didn't do this before. Big Blue Hospital, my new book. I'm very pleased to see this come in the mail, I have to say. All right. Cool. The first poem, the title poem, Big Blue Hospital. The colors are bold here. Green sink, blue bedding, white walls. Some gentleness from a nurse in bone white. The colors are cold here, not the warmth of a red or fantastical purple, more chill yellow ivory and clear Krishna blue. The chill is what heals you, makes you reach for the sun. You touch the cream walls here, sliding your hand across them, running along like a joyous child dancing in blue rain, blue being the color of his healing. Nothing lasts longer than this. My head is a rust box full of broken tools. My head is a mirror smashed like a glass web with a fearful countenance of my own face. Straw-filled, wind-blown, nothing remains except a high trepidation of broken dreams and hand bones. Please shatter. Please shatter the night as we lay in it. It's called Transference. My therapist told me to write a poem about the images in my head. So I bared what I was and what I wanted to be, meanwhile sipping tea in her office, watching her read the poem. Her lips moved quietly as she read. I was afraid she would see all of me, and I hated it. And I wanted to go home after sewing so much with a stranger, a void, an empty vessel for me to fill up full with truths or half-truths or all-out lies. It's called Bird. A crazed swallow batters my window again and again, attacking its own reflection in the glass, thinking it's an enemy. Of course, this made me think of you and how we broke our beaks against fate, and feathers spun around us, swirling us into ugliness. The bird slams his body against the glass again. We start and flinch, and like the bird, learn nothing. It's called My Sudden Death. What if I was working in the shed in the backyard and choked on my heart as if on glass and tipped over in my chair, dying so young, they'd say. He was loved, they'd say. Wow, he's dead. So damn young. They'd look at each other and thrill with fear. It's called Circus. Sometimes things are nearly over, but you have to smile because otherwise you'd break into pieces like an undoable puzzle. It burns the way hot oil burns with a splash of magenta and fire purple tossed over hands in surrender and prayer. So now I stay far from the fire and smile like a painted clown. Westport, 2006. I went away because I was blue, but told friends it was an adventure, that I'd write a book. I house sat near a sick sea in a small gray town and saw no one for a time. 8 months of no one is hard, like eating less food or losing day after day to nothing but loss. Unending chains of loss, a terrifying stillness where nothing ever happens. Nothing except this hole blown in my chest by long sadness. Nothing except for that. The running. I'd been running away for years and just needed an excuse. So I went off, lost my mind, got sick at heart, depressed, disconnected, delusional. Whoever I once was gone like smoke in an angry wind. We bumped me into madness. It was dead and cold in the hospital, but it was okay. I was still way too hot from running so fast and far away. It's called Space. 10 years on, a photo of me in the desert, laughing with what looks like joy. I remember faking it, like calling into work sick when you're just tired. Blue sorrow etched deep into my forehead. My smile rises in dark repose, and you can almost touch my mouth, sad and quiet as an inert star. This one's called Smoking Together at the Breakfast Table. Somehow cigarettes were part of the meal. bagels and Nutella and cup after cup of coffee, only pausing to fully drag a smoke and breathe it out. Smoke wafted from our mouths, noses, smoke in our fresh morning nakedness. Smoke straying into our hair, squatting like a brown cat's crowd. It didn't last. We ended badly. But somehow those cigarette mornings, we called them love. The end. You're reading a book or drinking coffee. You divorce. Its realization comes to you like the amorphous odor of a quiet cafe, chocolatey, with sniffs of almost burnt. Odd, you think. It's really over. And then you go on reading and drinking. Thanks. Thank you. Next reader is Ken Tomaro. And Ken, if you could introduce yourself, please feel free.
I'm Ken Tomaro. You can find me on Facebook, just Ken Tomaro, or I have a YouTube channel called Screaming Down the Poetic Highway, where I basically go off about poetry and writing and submitting and all kinds of good stuff. And I can't tell you how great this collection is of your work. I mean, you know me, and I like dark stuff, and this is just such a wonderful mix of dark with that little bit of hope in there. And it's just really, I'm blown away. I,
Thank you, Ken.
I will also say I had a friend when I wrote my very first book. She said, one of the things she said was, it left me wanting more. And that's exactly as I hit that last poem, I was like, God damn it, I want more of this. It's a very short collection, but it's very good.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate that.
No, and I'm going to do two poems really quick because I feel like this is your time and I don't want to take it away from you. I just appreciate the opportunity to read a couple things. And of course, you know me and I don't have titles for anything. So these two don't have titles. You feel not like a complete failure, but a failure nonetheless when the words aren't there. You search every corner of your mind frantically as if you've lost your car keys. In the end, you come up empty. You think and you think and you overthink until burning smoke pours from your ears. Any words there might have been dissipate quickly into the atmosphere, burning to embers before the gods can see them. You sit clueless and empty, as if there were no purpose to a world without words, the embers falling back to earth like burning tears. Even the gods wouldn't exist if there were no word for them. And this one, I think Tim may have heard this. This was in the 30 for 30. Um, if this were the end, here and now, and I was standing at the gates before the angels of death, the angels of mercy, angels of compassion or coincidence, the angels of, yes, this is really happening, I would say nothing more than I did have a good life. I've had many cars, all of which got me where I needed to go, and if they didn't, I had two legs. I've had many jobs, good and bad, and while I've struggled through most of this life, I still made it through this life. The same can be said of relationships. And though they all came to an end, there was a purpose to all of them. I know that now. And learning at the moment you're a step away from the gates is better than not learning at all. Friends? Well, I could go on about that for hours, but there are only a couple people ahead of me in this line, and it's moving pretty quickly. And that's it. Thanks.
Okay, that's awesome. The next reader is Lasara Firefox Allen. Lasara, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would. My name is Lasara Firefox Allen. I am, let's see, I have a little thing written up if I can find it. There it is. I'm published in the genres of nonfiction, poetry, memoir, and micro memoir. And over the past couple of years, my work has been published at Sledgehammer Lit, LiteraryKitchen.net, Spooky Gaze, Tangled Locks Journal, and very recently in Mountain Bluebird Magazine and the Gilt Scar Zine. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And if you just search my name, Lasara Firefox Allen, I'll come up. I am going to read a couple of older pieces, and then I'll read one new one. So this is one of Robert's favorite poems that I ever wrote. So I'm reading this for you, Robert, and I'm very excited about your book. It feels good too, by the way. It hasn't, the cover has a nice feel to it, which I appreciate. A lot of detail orientation in the publication. It's really beautiful, beautifully done. This is called Prayer for Women Walking. This is a prayer for women afraid of walking, for women afraid of walking to the watering well, for women afraid of walking to the market at night, for women afraid of walking in the woods near their homes. This is a prayer for the recognition of how our bodies are taken from us over and over again, and how we are taken from the world around us. This is a prayer for the healing of women, because our bodies have been rent and rendered. Our bodies have been dismembered. This is a prayer of remembrance. This is a prayer asking the gods and the God beyond all gods, the God I am, to remember us. We are Osiris, but we have no Isis to join us piece to piece. The work of woman, never ending. We sow the tares, we sow the seeds. Who will remember us? This is a prayer for sovereignty. This is a prayer for the fearless in each of us, because they can steal our bodies, but they cannot steal our freedom. When walking alone is no longer an act of defiance, we will know that we have won. This is a prayer for the long journey, for each step on the path, for each time we decide to walk through the fear. This is a prayer for the martyrs, for the maters, for the mothers, for the matters at hand. This is a prayer for liberation. And this is from my, let's see if I can get my blur off for a second. This is from the first chapbook I ever put out, which is called The Pussy Poems. It's actually one long poem in parts, and I'm only going to read one little part. It's number 12 of, I think, I don't know, 17 or something. My wound is sacred. My heart of flame and water never mix, except down there where jungle sounds and subterranean dampness and rich and slightly fetid smells stake claim to this no man's land, my not so barren straits. And now for the new one. This is called I Haven't Even Left Yet, and it's a haiboon, and this was from 30 and 30. A new season burgeons. California poppies, a riot of safety orange, siren red, pale peach. Green grasses, tall as tomorrow, waving in the undulating breeze, spell out the land I love. I already miss the tender way winter gives, and springtime breaks through. Thank you.
Sorry. The next reader is Tim Motor. Tim, would you like to say a little bit about yourself?
Hi there. Thanks, Robert. My name is Tim Motor. I'm a poet, primarily a poet. I'm up in northern Wisconsin. A lot of my poems deal with nature. I don't know that I would say I'm a nature poet, but a lot of the poems have characters or are set in nature. I have a chapbook that just came out from Seven Kitchens Press called American Parade Routes. I'd love for you to check that out. You can check me out on timmotor.com. Again, thank you so much, Robert, for doing this and for asking me to be part of it. I haven't received your book in the mail yet, but I have heard a lot of these poems that are in it and read some of them, and I'm very excited. And the cover is amazing. So I'm going to read a couple poems here. I'll probably read a couple that are in the book, and then maybe one that isn't in the book. This one is I don't know if it's Robert's favorite, but I picked it for Robert and for Ken. It's kind of a trademark poem of mine, I think. It's called Afternoon Beside the Brule River. Juan the grouse, apathetic, on the low, eyes closed, berries stuffed into brisket, a muffled drummer, an ancient easy attitude, proud postured silhouette, reclined against a stump. Scrunch, one rabbit, sprawled beneath one tree, her face an itch of fur. Watching from the corner of uncertain eyes, she aches her way toward me, exposed beneath a trusting sky. One hurried hive, one mother, waxen bodies, a steady hum of furious fans, a constant dance of oily wings arching over and around fragrant ground, stout apostles proposing to the queen. One badger throwing dirt over dead trees, summer dry and hollow. I see a hole beginning. I'm close enough to feel your power, elbows bent in unison, your shining flat body merged with dust. One deer stands in one ravine. Suddenly, he has always been. Slowly, he glides over plush sphagnum moss through blueberry exits. His white horns reflect the sun. An eternity exists between us. One porcupine with 4 left feet makes the forest fall and rise. I walk behind and watch. If a tree fell in the woods, the porcupine and I were there to hear it rise and fall. Then this one here, I didn't do much school, so my poetry is just kind of off the cuff, and I've been learning a few things of meter, and one of the things that I learned was scansion, and I'll tell you what, it's hard for me to look at sentences and break them up and see what kind of a meter they have. So I wrote this poem when I didn't like learning that stuff. It's called Scansion. I despair of Scanson's bone-filled mouth against my jugular, counting out my heartbeats, weighing my worth, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Only sorrow has a sweeter song. Even this sentence is a forest of wolves, jaws harumphing praise to fever, eating Sunday's God and flesh today. These stanzas lay in heaps, their pages barely skins. Count the measure of their ribs against the blushing snow. That's in the book. I'm gonna maybe read one that is a little newer. It's not in the book. It was most recently, I think it's my most recently published poem. Was in the Denver Quarterly. It's called The Cliche of the White Light. I was the state of Arkansas in the bicentennial parade. Hayfoot, strawfoot. A zenith sun in a straight-backed sky whispered, 200 more, as a disembodied spirit, fire in the head. Rifle twirlers, fife and drum, 52 American flags, the cliche of the white light. Maps obey history, moving his names through troubled granite headstones, grumpy with days and years, scripts and speeches, ever westward in a thick white blaze. Bored artists stencil bullets modeled in midair. Mothers raise and lower tired flags. The land was never ours. Your statues will rot. Nothing shall bow, nothing shall bend. One more circle driveway. Thank you very much.
Tim, awesome. I'd like to close out with a final poem, but I want to thank Ken Tomaro and Lasara Firefox Allen and Tomaro for reading tonight. I really appreciate it. I like your work very much, and I'm proud and happy that you read with me tonight. So thank you so much. I'd like to close out with a quite short poem, and it goes like this. Something I noticed about spring. See me, the season says. I'm a mosaic of abundance. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night, great day. Thank you.